Hey everybody, getting you ready for the weekend and a big game 7 in Oklahoma City on Sunday. My open forum Friday. We can talk about whatever you want as we wrap up the week here on If You Don't Like That. Don't forget, after the game on Sunday, Rhino will be with me right here. We'll have an extended post-game show. And then next week, we've got the NBA draft. We are going to be turning the calendar pretty soon into July. And that means NFL training camps. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for that. I wonder how many more speeding tickets Shedeur Sanders will have between now and the beginning of training camp. And this is just another reason why he slid in the draft. You cannot have your quarterback or your future, if you think that's what he's going to be, driving 101 miles per hour and then 91 miles per hour, 2 speeding tickets already. I mean, it's just a bad look. Plain and simple. It's a bad look. I mean, it's just awful. It really is. And he's not the only one that's been driving over 100 miles per hour and getting caught. I talked about Zach Edey of the Memphis Grizzlies the other day. But when you're a quarterback of a high-profile guy, it's a bad way to start your NFL career in Cleveland. I keep on getting these questions about who's going to be traded on the Kings. I don't know. You tell me. You have a crystal ball, John? John, you have a crystal ball? Says, who is most likely to be traded? DeRozan, Sabonis, or Monk, assuming Levine contract is unmovable. Why would you trade Monk? What are you going to get for Monk? In other words, give me a deal. I mean, if you told me, Grant, it's your show, you absolutely have to answer that. I would say DeRozan. But, I mean, I don't know. What time is it in Thailand? I don't know what time it is in Thailand. I really don't. What time is it? It's, I think it's about 10 in the morning. You can look it up, Google it. Say, what time is it in Thailand? Yeah, Vladdy was in a accident on a scooter. I talked with him today via text message. Typical Vladdy. So, the guy's hilarious. He said to me, thanks for your concern. I'm all good. Nothing special. The media is crazy around here. He said, and then he went on and said about his hip, I had to replace it anyway, so it's good timing. Getting old, definitely. I've been on that little red scooter of his, actually. Both of us were on it last summer in beautiful Montenegro. Oh, my God. Actually, the summer of 24. What a beauty he is. Just a beauty. Always making jokes, even in situations that maybe you wouldn't want to joke. Man, just I do wish him a speedy recovery, though. He's a beauty. He really is. All right, what do you want to talk about today? You can give me a call. I'll put the link up here for you. I'll also put the QR code above my shoulder. Either or, give me a call. We'll wrap up the week right here on If You Don't Like That. What do you think, Game 7? Who are you picking? Who are you picking? I mean, everything would tell me Oklahoma City based on the regular season, based on the playoffs, based on how they seemingly always bounce back after a bad loss. But then you look at Indiana and they've kind of got that it, right? I just hope it's a good game. I really do. I just hope it's a good game and not a lopsided game. I hope it's well officiated. I mean, you should see, technically, generally speaking, these are the best of the best in a Game 7. They want to know if in baseball, do I think pitchers hit opposing players on purpose? If so, does that call come from the manager? Yeah, of course it's on purpose. Not all the time, but sometimes, yes, it is on purpose. Sometimes it's from the manager. Sometimes it's not. John says, heart says Pacers, but head says Thunder, unfortunately. That's what I'm thinking, too. There's a reason why you are the number one seed. There's a reason why you work so hard during the regular season to get their home court. And this is why. Doesn't always work out. The Kings know that. Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals when they missed 14 free throws. But this is a defining game for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This is a legacy type of a game. All right, he's elevated himself to MVP. A lot of people thought he should have been the MVP last year. This is a legacy game. Not only for him, but for other players as well. But particularly for him, because he's the reigning MVP of the league and the MVP of the Western Conference Finals. So this is a defining type of a game, a legacy game for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think when you look at Oklahoma City, what happened in Game 6 to me is a non-issue. What happened last night to me is going to have zero bearing on the game on Sunday. There is no momentum in the playoffs, and those that are on national TV telling you about momentum does not exist in the playoffs. And for those that use that term, it's a lazy term because they don't know what else to say. I mean, that's the truth. So don't look into momentum. Momentum is not part of playoffs in the NBA. I mean, we've given you many examples of that throughout the playoffs this year. But what do you think? Who are you picking? You picking Oklahoma City, or are you picking Indiana? Does SGA become a higher-ranked all-time point guard than Chris Paul if the Thunder win a championship on Sunday? It's very difficult to answer that in the sense that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is in his prime now, and barring injury, has many more years of his career. Chris Paul was always an underachiever in the playoffs. Do you judge your athletes on the postseason? Do you judge them on the regular season? I mean, Chris Paul had, a tremendous career, and we don't know if he's going to play again this year. But it's difficult to compare because of Paul's longevity. But he was bitterly disappointing in the playoffs. Almost to a James Harden, almost to that degree. So depends how you're going to define greatness. But SGA still has many years left. And here's the other deal about SGA. He's on a team that could win multiple championships. They could be the next Golden State Warriors. When you look at their assets, when you look at the players that they don't even really use that are on the team, their draft capital, they're in a phenomenal situation. Phenomenal situation. So I look at SGA, and when we're all said and done with this, whenever he steps away from the game, he might have 3, 4, or 5 rings. Seriously. That's how good Oklahoma City looks right now for the present and for the future. They're the real freaking deal. They're good. They're young. They have draft capital. They have the ability to use that draft capital to make trades. So, yeah, if I'm looking at SGA, there are many more chapters left in his book. And in all likelihood, they're going to be good chapters. I can't forecast injuries. You can't forecast injuries. But he's pretty special. That's for sure. Do I think the game will be close in the fourth quarter? I do. I think this series has been such that Indiana has shown that when they get deficits, it doesn't faze them. I could see this game being close with 5 minutes left to go in the fourth. I hope that's the case. And we'll see. Would I trade Levine and 2 first-round picks for Trey Young, but you have to pay him $60 million a year for 5 years? I wouldn't trade you for Trey Young. I'm not a Trey Young fan. I think he's a destructive player. I think he's hard to play with. And I wouldn't want him. So that's another red flag that you can keep for yourself. Great to see you, Grant. I just came back from my LA San Diego vacation. Haven't turned into you all this week. Well, better late than never. I hope you had a great time. Welcome back. Good for you. I'm glad you got away. Glad you got a chance to enjoy yourself, or at least I hope you enjoyed yourself. So happy to have you here on If You Don't Like That. And don't forget, Andre, that coming up on Sunday, Rhino will be with me, and we'll have a post-game show after Game 7. Grant, love you've been listening for 25 years. One more for you. Who's the NBA GOAT, Jordan or LeBron? Well, if you're comparing those two, I would take Jordan. But you can't have a conversation about greatest of all time and not talk about LeBron James. That's how I would look at that. But to me, Jordan. That's who I would pick. Hey, New Works Plumbing, I would also pick them if I have a issue when it comes to plumbing and I need a repair. They're my number one pick. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. Remember, they're available 24/7. Give them a call. Go to their website or newworksplumbing.com. NEWWRXplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. Rolling right along here on a Friday. Trey Young is a dirty player. I don't know if I would say he's a dirty player. Stop asking me who I would trade for, Guru. I don't deal in hypotheticals. All right? I don't deal in let's make believe. Said, would I trade Sabonis and Carter for Herb Jones, CJ McCollum, and their 9th pick? What do you, NBA Guru Zach, do you just sit around and come up with these things? Like, why do you do this to yourself? Honestly, why do you do this? I mean that. Why do you do this? I mean that. Why do you do it? Like, why do you sit around like thinking about deals? Like, deal in reality. You know? Deal in reality. Do I think the Kings will make a deal or two in this offseason? Yes, out of necessity. They can't bring back the same team. They just can't. If they do, they're going to have the same result. They're going to be right where they are now. Non-playoff team in a very tough Western Conference. So I think we know what they need. Will they be able to go out and get it? All right. When did I ask for deals? Seriously. Like, what do you mean I asked for deals? I asked for them to make deals because you can't bring back the same team. But I didn't sit there and go, well, come up. What I said was, if you're going to trade an individual, like I had this question yesterday, would I trade Malik Monk? And my response was, well, what are you getting for him? Because I can't answer that specific question. I know I'm kind of talking out of both sides here because of what I just said to NBA Guru Zach. But what I said was, if somebody calls me up, all right, here's the difference, and said, would I trade Malik Monk? Well, I'll answer the question this way. I would trade anybody on the Sacramento Kings. There's nobody on the Kings I wouldn't trade. If I thought that it would make my team better, of course I would trade that individual. But like, you know, if you said, would I trade Malik Monk? Well, who am I trading him for? Who do I think will be an NFL team that missed the playoffs last season that will make the playoffs this year? I haven't gotten into it that deep yet, but there will be a team, clearly, that did not make the playoffs last year that will this year. Can we agree on that? That is definitely going to happen. Definitely. And right now, off the top of my head, it's an excellent question. I'd probably say the 49ers. Manny says people play let's make a deal scenarios when the NBA season is coming to an end and no football. You're right. You're 100% correct. And I'm not like even on NBA Guru Zach. I'm not begging on him. I'm just saying, like, he comes up with these scenarios, and I just want to know, like, where does he come up with these? Like, does he just think of these on his own? Is he? I don't, because 99% of these never even are discussed among NBA general managers. So why would we waste our time on this show talking about these type of scenarios? Now, if you ask me, would I trade a certain player? Like if you said, Napes, would you trade DeMar DeRozan? I would say, yeah, I would look into it. Who are you going to get for him? Napes, are you going to trade Malik Monk? Well, who are you going to get for him? Like what do you have in mind? Because if you're going to trade a good player like Malik, you better get a good player back in return. So, like, who's my top 5 point guard of all time? How far back are we going? I mean, Magic Johnson is there, right? Steph Curry's on that list. John Stockton to me is on that list. That's 3 right there. Jerry West to me is on that list. I mean, there's a lot of great point guards that we've seen, but I mean, you got to have Magic. You have to. You can't have a conversation without Magic Johnson. Oscar Robertson, right? So I mean, those are 5 right there. I can't put Jason Kidd above. I can't put Jason Kidd above Oscar Robertson. Come on. Isaiah would be on there too. Yeah, I forgot about Isaiah Thomas. But I can't. I mean, how can I not have Jerry West on there? The logo, right? Come on now. Do I think that Sammy Sosa will be in the MLB Hall of Fame? He's on the Cubs Hall of Fame. No, I don't. I don't think any of those players from the steroid era are getting in anytime soon. Steve Nash, possibly. Nash was great. That's what it's very difficult to come up with 5. But Magic's number 1. You got to have Curry on there. To me, you have to have Oscar Robertson on there. If you're going back into the 60s and this, you have to have Jerry West on there. I mean, there are a lot of great point guards that we've watched over the years in the NBA. Good call on West and Oscar. Well, how can you not have Oscar Robertson and Jerry West on there? Come on. Have I been to a Golden Knights game? I went to a couple this season. Great atmosphere. George did a fantastic job at that team. Yes, as a matter of fact, I was at their opener last year when they unveiled the banner and everything else. I was in Vegas at George's house when he had the Stanley Cup there. I put pictures on social media. I was there when they got their championship rings, which was unbelievable to put that on and see the beauty of those. And then I was at the opening game. What George McPhee has done, not only in Vegas, but in Washington before he left, has truly been pretty amazing. He's one of the top executives in the National Hockey League, period. Like, if you took a poll of top executives in the NHL, George McPhee's name would be announced. The guy's done amazing. Think about it. He put an entire expansion team together, and they went to the Stanley Cup Finals in their first season. How about that? Seriously, that's pretty amazing. All-time better player, Kobe, LeBron, or Curry? In my opinion, it's LeBron because he could be an all-star at all 5 positions. If I did not say LeBron, I would then go by a whisker, Kobe, and then Curry. But that's just me. But you'd be pretty good if you had either of those 3 on your team, right? Over a long period of time. I think you'd be good. Hey, Sunrise Landing in Calusa. Go to CalusaSunrise.com. And you can check out everything from this Blazona development project. Don't forget, it's adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Also, remember, there's no Mellorews here. There's no homeowners. And it's easy to get to. I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20. Make sure you check out Sunrise Landing by going to CalusaSunrise.com. That's beautiful Sunrise Landing in Calusa. You know, it's like talking about the top 5 quarterbacks of all time. What era? I mean, are you going to have a start point? You know, people talk about how great Sammy Baugh was. I watched Johnny Unitas play. He was great. For me personally, I mean, you have to have Brady, Montana, John Elway. To me, John Elway is on there. The fact that Dan Marino did not win a Super Bowl does not preclude him from being on my list from the quarterbacks that I've watched. And then Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, to me, is one of the greatest quarterbacks, period. And to watch him in person at a game live is unbelievable. Like, there's no way I could not have Peyton Manning as a top 5 quarterback of all time. It's just not possible. Can't do it. For me, can't do it. Can't do it. I have to have him. Absolutely have to have him on my list. And John Elway, too, for that matter. But I don't even think there's any disagreement. And I'm not even talking about active players like Patrick Mahomes, who would probably be on that list. Talking about former quarterbacks. You have to have Brady and Montana on there. Like, you can't have a conversation and not have them on there. Would you agree with that? You have to. And then to me, Elway's on there, Manning's on there, Peyton Manning. And then again, how far back do you want to go? Joe Namath, Johnny Unitas, Sammy Baugh. Are we going back to the great quarterbacks, Roger Staubach? Terry Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls. Are we talking about? I mean, there's been a lot of. Obviously, it's the quarterback position. It's a good question, though. We're talking about centers. Hakeem destroyed Shaq. Hakeem top center. He's not the top center of all time, in my opinion. But he was great. There's no question about that. The dream was great. I love watching him play. I loved announcing games that involved Elijah Juan. He was very special. Very special. Hey, for those of you that are joining a little late, don't forget Sunday, Rhino will join me right here on If You Don't Like That. Look forward to your phone calls on the postgame show Sunday after Game 7 with the Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Again, I'm asking, who you picking? Pacers, Thunder. I'm going to root for the Pacers, but I am going to pick Oklahoma City. I love Jenny Busek, the assistant coach. Got to know her very well with her time in Sacramento. I'm a big fan of hers. I'm a big fan of Rick Carlisle. My son is very close with Tyrese Halliburton. Very good friends with him. So those are the reasons why I would like to see Indiana win. But they're going to have to play an absolutely perfect game. Perfect game. Do I agree that Rich Gannon was the Raiders' best quarterback? It's a great question. You know, honestly, I do, which is saying something. Which is saying something. It's a great question. Hello, Anita. How are you? Are running backs making a comeback as vital parts of NFL teams? Well, you know, when you look at what Saquon's impact on Philadelphia was last year, when you look at what Henry's impact was on Baltimore, maybe a little bit. It's a great question. I haven't really thought that much about it. Picking OKC, but rooting for the Pacers. Listen, I understand Kenny Stabler, and I watched him play in person, and he was tremendous. But, boy, when Rich Gannon won the MVP, and for those few years, he doesn't have the longevity that Stabler had, you know. All right. Glad to have you with us right here. Why don't we get to some phone calls? Mr. Moss, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Grant. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Before I get to the NBA stuff, I agree with you 1,000%. I think John Elway belongs in those discussions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ex-baseball player, cannon of an arm. What he did in the late 1990s along with Turo Davis. It's awesome, and his name kind of gets forgotten. And so I'm glad you mentioned him. So I agree with that take.
I don't know why his name could be forgotten for anyone that's watched the NFL over decades. I don't know. I don't understand that. He was a great quarterback. Great quarterback.
Awesome quarterback. And he had the heart of a champion. I mean, that run and that play to get that first down, Lord have mercy. Okay, so Game 7, Grant. I was disappointed in the OKC Thunder's mindset. It's almost like they just knew they had Game 7 in their pocket. And I get it, 7's in your building, but what if SGA twists an ankle? What if Chet twists an ankle, right? The way they came out, the way that SGA as a leader came out, disappointed, man. And I'll leave you with this, Grant. Why is it that role players shoot the ball better in their building? I know it's cliche, but for crying out loud, man, Neesmith, Obi Toppin, they shot the ball poorly in Game 5. You go back home to Indiana, and it's like they can't miss. And so if the Pacers can win Game 7, I think I'm not even looking at Pascal Siakam or Tyrese. Listen, you're going to need your role guys to make shots.
No question.
And vice versa. Can OKC's role guys, is a moment going to be too? Listen, for which players, Grant, is this moment going to be too big for? For me, that's what it comes down to.
It's a great point. It's a fabulous point, because when the Kings were at a Game 7 on their home building, that game was too big for a couple of the Kings players, and I've talked to them about it both privately and publicly. Well, Doug Christie, missed free throws from guys that were very good free throw shooters. Peja at that time was very young in his career. The moment at that specific time was too big for him. Mm-hmm. I've talked to these guys about it. That you make a very good point. Very good point.
So your gut tells you OKC at home?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Based on everything I've seen this year, they don't get fazed by a bad game. Look at what happened in the Minnesota series after Game 3. They were down by 40, and they came back and played great in Game 4. They have a very short memory. There's a reason why they won 68 games this year, and there's a reason why they only lost one game all year during the regular season of the East. They're going to play very well. They're going to play, in my opinion, they'll play their A game. The question is, can Indiana play their A-plus game?
I agree with that. Listen, man, I'm looking forward. Yep. I'll join you, my guy Rhino, and yourself, the post game, and we'll chat about it, man.
Thanks, man. Have a good weekend.
Will do.
Take care. It's a good call right there. I mean, he makes some great points. It is good. The role players. We will be talking about Sunday when it's all said and done. A role player. We will. There's no doubt about that. There is absolutely no question about that. We will be talking about one of the role players. And a great place to talk about it is break some bread at Bennett's Prime Seafood and Steaks. Don't forget about their weekend brunch tomorrow and Sunday. Yes, make a reservation. Go to ennettrestcom. That's ennettrestcom, whether it's the West Side Grill in Rockland, or the West Side, in Rockland, or Roseville or Sacramento. 3 locations, all with the great Prime Seafood and Steak. Say hello to Brian for me and his great staff. Go to ennettrestcom to make a reservation and enjoy your weekend brunch or your dinner or whatever the case may be, your celebration right there. Absolutely. So, Sunday, right here, after Game 7, we'll put a wrap on the NBA season, and we'll take a peek at next week's NBA draft. Awesome. Incredible. Isn't the GOAT talk like the trade scenarios? No. And I'll tell you the difference. The difference is you have something that's already happened, right? You can analyze what's already happened. Now, you will never, because it's subjective, right? There's not a right answer, but it's much easier to talk about GOATs than it is about a potential trade that 99% doesn't have a chance of happening. So no, I disagree. It's not the same. Good question, though, but I disagree. It's not the same. It's just not. I mean, when you talk about the GOATs, you have something to go by. It happened. You can at least have a conversation about it. How can I have a conversation, for instance, like Zach? He's coming up with these trade scenarios. How can I have a conversation about something that 99% won't happen? Like, what's the point of that, right? It's like me talking to you about what I would do if I became a billionaire. Well, why would I talk about that? It's never going to happen. Like, why would I waste my time talking about that? You know? But I can talk about John Elway. I can talk about Tom Brady. I can talk about Joe Montana, and I can compare them. I can't tell you who's the greatest of all time because I watch them all play in person and on TV every week. And at least I have something to go by. I can't talk about a make-believe trade. It's where we have it, you know? That's where we're at. And I don't care about Elway had one of the strongest arms. A strong arm is great, but if Jeff George had a strong arm, but he was colorblind. Jameis Winston has a strong arm, but he's colorblind. Like, I don't care. That doesn't mean squat to me. You know, Eli Manning was criticized for not having, a strong arm like those guys. He's the MVP of 2 Super Bowls. Give me that guy any day of the week. All right, Sunday, post-game show. Have a great weekend, everybody. Appreciate your support. Stay safe. Make it a good one. Talk to you on Sunday with Rhino right here on If You Don't Like That.